Hi, guys. Before we start the show, I want to say that I had a pleasure talking to Jay Anson. Jay Anson is one of the directors of the Palau stablecoin or GovCoin or CBDC or whatever you want to call it. So I want to bring up something. This is in testing. If this becomes live with great success, the BIS, the IMF, even the Federal Reserve will use this as proof that this actually works. Now, what's unique about this is it's the only CBDC that's issued on a public ledger. So the success of this project is really going to add a lot of gravity to the rest of crypto. And if we see a successful project, that's what's going to happen. The IMF is going to start quoting this as successful, and that's what the IMF does, is it helps developing countries build their technology infrastructure and even gives them loans. The other thing I want to mention is while I was talking to Jay off air, I was, he was uncomfortable with me asking technical questions, and he wanted Ripple to address the technical questions. I asked Anthony Welfare to come on the show, and he said I was better off waiting for the official announcements from Ripple. So, and then also he pointed me to Thinking Crypto, the new James Wallace interview. So, something more is to the story, and I just wanted to point that out. The other thing that I want to point out is during the interview, I asked him about U.S. military bases. I phrased the question wrong because off air, Jay told me that the surrounding areas of Palau is very much so U.S. military bases and testing. So there is a big U.S. military presence in the region entirely. So, without further ado, here's the interview. Hi, everyone. Today we have a very special guest. We have Jay Anson from Palau. Jay, can you please introduce yourself and what you're doing with the Palau stablecoin?
Sure. Thanks. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me today. So I'm one of the project managers. I'm the lead project manager for Palau, working with two other project managers from Ripple and two of their CBDC platform engineers. And what we're doing is we're doing a pilot project for Palau to test the feasibility of digitizing the US dollar, tokenizing it and using it for day-to-day transactions.
Since it's a US dollar, does any of the US regulatory agencies come into play? Like, does the Fed or Treasury have a say in what's going on?
Yes, of course. We're subject to the FAFTA, and there's annual, or I think every 2 years, our Financial Institutions Commission has to file different reports and things of that nature. Of course, there's two local banks or two U.S. banks that have branches locally, so they have an interest in what we're doing. So it's really a balancing act, of course, between the regulators, the government, and what the people of Palau are looking for.
And how are the people of Palau responding to the idea of GovCoin?
Kind of mixed, right? I mean, it's new. It's anything like new technology, especially in Palau, is met with a certain degree of skepticism, of course. But we've so since March when we first launched, part of the launch was the information and education campaign with the Palauan people to get more of the information out of what it is we're trying to do, the safety and security of the technology, things of that nature, to get them, one thing we really wanted to drive home was it's not Bitcoin, it's not a cryptocurrency, it's not volatile. You're not risking your money. All you're doing is putting it in digital form so it's easier to transport. And so we have about 5 use cases specific to Palau. The top 2 are just, the handling of cash. There's a lot of cash transactions in Palau. very few ATMs, and the ATM fees are very high, between $4 and $6. The ATM access itself is a problem, because there just aren't that many. So on any given payday, you'll have a line around the corner of people either waiting to go into the bank to withdraw cash or cash their paychecks, or waiting for the ATM. And it's just the nature of doing business in Palau. Every time I go there, I carry more cash than I'll carry anywhere else in pretty much in the world, while I'm in Palau, just to do those daily small transactions. The other use case is a cultural one. The Palauan word is badak. And so badak is a community type of effort to help your friends and family. So if you're like a family member passes away, the family and the community, they get together and they help to pay the funeral costs. They help with and it's all like little $10 and $20 donations. And this is all done by cash. So the one or two designated folks that have to collect the cash are going around with a ledger, handwritten ledger, and an envelope. They collect all these envelopes, put it in a bigger envelope, turn it over. And so this is, something that I think will be beneficial. Instead of making those cash withdrawals and then passing all around all these small bills, all you got to do is digitally transfer it to that person's wallet. And so, yeah, so there's a lot of so people always ask about the cost. The cost is going to be very, very nominal, especially with the XRP Ledger and the solution design that we're putting in place, compared to the time it takes, literally hours, especially if you're coming from one of the outlying islands. There's 3 of them that are populated. I think one of them has an ATM machine now. The other 2 do not. So if you want to get cash or do anything in the bank, you have to travel by boat and then by car. So it's a whole day event for a lot of people to do any kind of what you and I would take as day-to-day normal financial transactions. So those are the two big use cases driving this for Palau.
And I understand you're rolling this out into phases. So like government workers get paid first, and then you're going to trickle it into the economy and kind of slowly roll it out. Is that correct?
So our approach is, for this pilot, we're limited by Palau's Congress to only employees in the executive branch. Since this is the president of Palau's initiative, run through the Ministry of Finance, we can only roll out to the executive branch. So we set a number of volunteers at 200 to provide them with 100 Palau stablecoin. And then we have 3 retailers where they're going to go and spend it. This will allow us to just test the technology, especially in the context of Palau. The Wi-Fi strength, a lot of people have been watching the videos I posted on Twitter and saying, why is it taking 30 seconds for this to go through? It's because the different retailers have different Wi-Fi quality. And where we did the tests that I recorded and posted, the Wi-Fi quality was particularly poor. And then we're just trying it with different ways, different scenarios. I did one where I had my US phone tethered to my Palau phone, so I could use the Palau network, and I mean it went through. We're trying it with different phones, different versions of Android, different versions of the iPhone with a web app, iPhone app, Android app.
I noticed the wallet itself was like a Ripple wallet and not necessarily an XRP wallet. So it's like a Ripple front end. That is the front end really easy to use? Does it make sense to everyone in Palau? Like do they just intuitively know how to use it?
So when I did the initial kind of training, I used the XM wallet just to get the feel for how what's possible. And I mean that wallet's amazing. For the pilot, we wanted to strip everything down and just make it as simple as possible, and just to support what we were testing. So that's wallet to wallet transfer, retail transactions, and then the retailer being able to request and redeem stablecoin for US dollars.
Yeah, and I understand Palau gets a lot of visitors from other countries, right? A lot of tourists come and visit the beautiful islands and everything. Since this is being rolled out, that's not going to be accessible to them. But in the future, right, since everybody is now connected to the ledger, I'm assuming that money is going to be easily available for tourists and as well as merchants buying things that they need to buy from overseas to bring it back home. So is that like the grand vision of everything?
Those are three of our future use cases that we'd like to test. One we already tested. So when I got to Florida, I have PSC still in my digital wallet, and I sent some to someone in Palau. So and there was no issues. They received it immediately, just as if I was in Palau. So the cross-border functionality for transferring payment, because there's 18,000 and change people in Palau right now, but there's estimated between 30 and 40,000 Palauans who live abroad, and so remittance is a big thing. And going back to the Badak I mentioned earlier, if you have family members living outside the U.S., it can be very costly to send any kind of remittance back to Palau. One example, a few years ago when my mother passed away, I sent money to my sister through Western Union. That was the fastest way to do it, and they charged me 20% of what I sent, which was a pretty significant amount. So it's a very, very small fraction of that would possibly be charged, the fee to do any kind of remittance of that nature. The other use case is just as you said, so if you're a tourist going to Palau, you want to minimize the amount of cash that you're carrying with you or other monetary instruments like a credit card, etc. You can potentially buy PSC and then spend that as you go around Palau, paying for your dives, paying for your months, paying for your Rock Island tours, things of that nature. So yeah, there's some good potential there. That was one of the use cases that I always bring up is this will make tourism a lot more user friendly, but also minimize the carbon footprint, because they're not going to be standing in line at the ATM or driving around or getting in boats to go around to do stuff. You just pass the digital currency with your wallet. So it's environmentally friendly. I think it's the future.
Yeah, I've listened to a lot of interviews with Sergey, and that's like one of his main priorities is the keeping the environment clean. And the XRP Ledger really does use like a minute amount of energy compared to some of the proof of work systems and some of the like Bitcoin or Litecoin. They use a very fraction, and also the fees, right? The fraction of a penny goes a long way with compared to Western Union that's costing 20%. That's what first got me into XRP to begin with, is I've paid the 25% Western Union fee, and that's just ridiculous to me. So I really appreciate you coming on. Do you have any opinions about just how everything looks so far and how people are gauging it? And also, sorry to add this on, does Palau have big U.S. military base in Palau? Or are there like a lot of U.S. soldiers in Palau?
No, there's not a large base. There's a civic action team. It's a joint team, Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marine Corps. They do mostly construction and what do you call them? Humanitarian assistance. So that's the permanent presence there. They were built off of a naval construction battalion that had been there since the end of World War II. So they've expanded the role and they do a lot of outreach and construction projects to help the local communities in Palau. Palau does host 2, maybe 3 annual military exercises each year, but that's the pretty much the extent of military presence in Palau. No different than other places throughout the Pacific. And so, potentially for the U.S. Military or other people visiting Palau, the Palau stablecoin could be an option for them to, use cash. So the other thing, so if you lose your ATM card or your credit card, new one shipped to you is probably going to take, 3, sometimes maybe 3 weeks, 2 weeks. You can have it sent by FedEx or DHL, but all the mail goes through Guam. And then, as we saw with the typhoon that just happened, mail is backlogged right now for weeks, sometimes even months. Even a DHL or a FedEx package will get stuck in Guam somewhere in the process. Where if you lose your phone, just go and buy another phone, download all the apps, and you're back in business, right? So that's I think that's one benefit of it. The initial feedback, we haven't gotten the first survey out. We're still rolling the PSC out to all of the volunteers, but from both the retailers and the consumers, the users, they like it. I mean, they're in kind of, it's user friendly, it's fast. Again, they don't have to carry cash in their pocket. Everyone has a smartphone. Everyone knows how to use a smartphone in Palau. Even the older generations with their Saturday market, it's a good way if they have Wi-Fi signal for people to go and pay without a lot of cash transaction and carrying boxes, like little metal cash boxes around. So yeah, that's who we're really targeting and trying to help is just the average Palauan citizen, and getting these use cases validated to show that, hey, this is a very good solution for Palau.
Well, I appreciate you coming on to my show, Jay. Do you have any other closing thoughts that you didn't get to talk about that you wanted to?
No, I think that's pretty much it. Like I said, we're still in this phase of the rollout, and there's a customer care aspect to it. So we did start in March officially with the pilot, and that was really to test the wallet and get the wallet right. And a lot of the issues are, people either made too many wallets and then they forgot the PIN, so we have to go and create a new wallet. Then we can get them their PSC or a little bit more customer care and just getting people comfortable. There was we had 2 iterations of site visits with the retailers so that we could train the retailers. Their big concerns was the fraud and spotting people trying to trick, because they do have Alipay. It's a Chinese payment app in Palau that Chinese tourists would use, and what they would fall victim to, the retailers would fall victim to, was someone showing them a screen capture of a completed payment, and they would leave the store with the merchandise and leave the retailer hanging, right? And so just training with them. I'm a cybersecurity and security expert by trade. I just do fintech as a part-time gig, which is great. The security of it is what attracted me to fintech and blockchain technology. So getting them comfortable with accepting and processing the transactions has paid dividends. And so now that we have actual live transactions, they're very comfortable with it, and they understand the process and the technology, and it's going really smooth. I'm really pleased with how it's going.
Yeah, I got to be careful of all the Twitter scams. Lately, Twitter's just been a hot mess of constant, click this link, and it's like pictures of David Schwartz or pictures of Brad Garlinghouse. We're giving away free XRP, but it's all scam links, right? So you really got to teach people how to kind of be tech savvy, and some people just don't know. And it's sad, but it's true. I've actually had people telling me that they were talking to me on WhatsApp. I'm like, I don't have a WhatsApp. And there's somebody on YouTube said, contact me. This is my WhatsApp number. And they started contacting the people. Luckily, the guy didn't give money, but I know people have given money to scamsters in that were imitating me and just offering fake stuff. And it's really sad, but hopefully we can get mass awareness around the social engineering, because they use really sleazy tactics. And it's just sad, but I go out of my way and try to educate as many people as possible. So I know that's a big part of it.
The way to do it. Just getting the word.
Well, I know you don't have much time, Jay, so I really appreciate you coming on to the show. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.